Garden Project of Southwest Colorado is a local nonprofit. We've been around since 1998 and we are helping to grow a healthier community, one garden at a time. We started off doing at-risk use gardening programs with therapeutic garden spaces, and now we have the first public use community garden in Durango. We do public school gardens as well as the garden here at Manna Soup Kitchen. We're really trying to increase self-sufficiency skills in our community, starting at the youngest age possible. Gardening is really an activity that can go cradle to grave. What I'm really working on is that sustainability model to make sure that all of the gardens that we work on are sustained in the long term, and that is through empowering the community, through trainings and workshops to take care of their own garden spaces and really feel supported by our organization. At our community garden, the Ohana Kuleana Community Garden, it's really neat to see the neighbors come out and work in the garden and really establish these community ties. We're not just building gardens, we're building community.
I loved this place. I loved what it stands for, and I loved the people here. So I became the volunteer herb gardener. What makes this place so special is, number one, the people, starting actually with our benefactor, Bob Lieb, who then found Mia Carrasco-Sanger, who is our organizer, our garden manager. He calls her his garden angel.
Well, I don't know about garden angel. I think the success of this garden really goes back to the community. Just like the garden's name, Ohana Kuleana, which means community responsibility, and that really started with Bob Lieb. This land was going to be used for a development, but the neighborhood wasn't too happy about that. The land is actually owned by Plata County. And at that point, Bob Lieb stepped in and proposed a community garden.
And it wasn't by design initially, but I partnered up with Garden Project of Southwest Colorado, and as they were looking for projects. And I entered into a 10-year lease with La Plata County. We pay them an annual amount to lease this property. I just thought it'd be a good garden because it had the space to be able to do it. It was big enough to make a decent-sized community garden, the lot itself. This community, I've been in it almost 40 years, and it's been extremely good to me, and I've enjoyed it. And it was a give-back project for me.
When we first started this garden, this land, about 2 acres, was just rocky, compacted subsoil. And Bob came in and moved a lot of land and put in the fence, the deer fence. He put in the irrigation. We brought in topsoil for the beds. And then the gardeners got there and they spent hours upon hours sifting through this rocky soil so they could get to a point where they could grow some food in there. The garden is made up of 45 plots, which are gardened by about 35 groups. Those are families, groups of friends, a church group, Southwest Center for Independence, and of course Riverview Elementary. Those plots are about 150 square feet each. Some people have double plots, some people have half plots. We partnered with Home Depot to put in a wheelchair accessible patio style plot, and that makes it easier again for wheelchairs to be on there, but also anyone who's a little more unsteady on their feet. We want this garden to be available and enjoyable to everyone in our community. You can become a member, and to do that you pay $75 in member dues, as well as contributing 2 hours a month of volunteer service. That volunteer time allows us to take care of the garden outside of everyone's plot, including the food forest, the insectary, pulling lots of thistles. We also have an option for people to contribute additional hours in lieu of that payment, and we do have scholarships available as well. The Ohana Kuleana Community Garden turns into this outdoor living laboratory when Charlie Love, the science teacher at Riverview Elementary, brings all his students down.
You would be collecting energy from the sun if you were a plant.
They get to explore the garden, experience new foods by planning and planting their garden in the spring, and then coming back the next year and getting to harvest it.
Oh, red ones! Red ones!
Seeing the joy on those kids' faces is something exceptional.
people come here, learn how to garden, and then plant their own backyard.
The garden project of Southwest Colorado has had a profound effect on my life personally, just because of all the education and opportunities it's given me to take hold of the soil and the seeds, the chance to interact with my community and to talk to one another and the fellow gardeners that are here. And that's my biggest and greatest treasure here at this garden, is being able to talk to everybody else and download that knowledge. I would have never had that chance living in an apartment.
My expectations have been to have this be a garden for 10 years, and what happens to it after that is still up in the air. I would like to see it continue to be a garden.
If I had to guess, I would say that at least 50 to 60% of the people who started are still here growing, and so it's a real community garden.
Here at the Manna Garden, we're growing food directly for the soup kitchen. Manna is one of the few soup kitchens in the country which actually has its own garden. I see this as an incredible opportunity to grow a healthy, nutritious food for a food insecure population within our community.
The garden used to be in between the culinary school and the kitchen, and it was in 2004 is when they first established that garden there. And then over I would say the last 6 years, we've been able to move the garden out to this more open space to give us much more room.
This space was at one point a dump, and it's gone through a few different changes throughout the years. The biggest challenge is the soil. We don't have soil, we just have shale and rock. So it's been a real challenge to either dig out beds or build raised beds. All of the beds are made of beautiful soil that we've been amending and treating with biodynamic soil preps for the past 4 or 5 years now. So the soil within the beds is fantastic. Shale is terrible.
We pretty much grow a variety from kale, spinach, lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers. The things that we do stay away from is a lot of squashes and potatoes, because we get a lot of those donated anyways.
We just put the hoop house in, and we've got a lot of tomato plants out there, and we have a really beautiful space to grow them in and brand new beds as well. So, year of the tomato, I hope.
Today we're looking at some bok choy. Bok choy is a wonderful vegetable that's mostly used in Asian dishes, but you can use it as lettuce. It tastes very good. You can even eat it raw. Every chef would love to be able to have this at his fingertips. You know, it's wonderful, the collaboration that we have with the Southwest Garden Project.
This garden not only helps feed people, but it gives people opportunity, clients and volunteers, an opportunity to work the land. Who doesn't feel better if they contribute back a little bit in one way or another? For this garden to be able to not only provide food to the soup kitchen, to the culinary school, give the students in the culinary school an opportunity to work the land, give the clients an opportunity to work and volunteer, and then the community volunteers, it's huge. So it's multi-dimensional of what it does giving back to the soup kitchen.
The city donated portions of this land for the use of the garden, which is a huge benefit to us. And we also received a block grant from the city of Durango in order to expand the garden, grow more food, involve more people, offer internships for at-risk teens, and offer a free produce stand called the Manna Market. It's all about healthy communities, and that is through nutrition, it's through a sense of place, it's through connecting with others around you in a really positive way. It's about educating people about local food, self-sufficiency within our own communities, and having more of a resiliency with our own families and neighbors.
I love it. It's my favorite thing. I can see when I retire in Durango from 20 years, there's be something left here. You know, from the fruit trees and all the grapes along the fences, there'll be, for generations to come, we'll have plenty of food, you know, because that's what Manna is about, and a town of plenty, no one should go hungry, and there's going to be plenty on this mountain here.
We'd love to see a garden in every school in La Plata County. Needham Elementary is our pilot school garden program.
The garden is about 100 feet by 75 feet. It used to be 1/3 of the size that it is now, and back in 2013 it took over 150 volunteers and donated time from local businesses to build what it is now, and it's 24 raised beds with other features such as a bee and butterfly pollinator garden, a rock garden, some peace pools, and also a native plants area. Having a garden right on site at an elementary school is extremely beneficial. Teachers are able to come out here and use it beyond just growing food. They can do writing prompts, they can observe something that they're learning about in science class. It creates a really tangible, experiential learning opportunity for students.
The Garden Project won a grant to host AmeriCorps, and what that means is a couple young people who are interested in working with the Garden Project and serving their community here in Durango get a chance to work with the Garden Project on their school gardens. As a garden educator, I have many roles. Some of those roles include plant ID with kids. It involves weighing the produce that we harvested with the students. It involves being a tall ladder for them to maybe reach things that they can't on their own. It involves getting down on the dirt and looking at the roly-polies and the worms. We wear a lot of different hats here in the garden.
During the summer, we have a summer camp, Junior Gardeners Summer Camp. We're out here for 3 weeks maintaining the garden. Students who are involved in the summer camp are able to see the whole cycle from planting that happens in the spring and then watching those crops grow throughout the summer, weeding them, thinning them, and then they're able to enjoy them in the fall when we harvest them.
Working with kids is a gift. It's a gift every day because sometimes when you work just with adults, they have a one mindset on how things should go and how things should work. Kids don't have that, and when you work with the students here at the Needham School Garden, you have the opportunity to see life through 25 different lenses every 45 minutes so you get a class. And it's just so fun, you can't replicate it. To hear them finally understand how to save seeds from a tomato, but that might have worked through some tears if they squirted it in their eyes. To have them legitimately ask you if they're gonna melt because it's so hot outside. You just don't get that in other places when you're not working with students, so it's super fun.
We had a lot of local businesses donate their labor to actually construct this garden. We've also had different businesses sponsor different beds in the garden for various donations. We're sitting in the definition of a community garden. It's a space where people can come and share and learn from one another and then enjoy what they've worked so hard to grow.
We really couldn't do what we do without the incredible support of our community. That involves hundreds of volunteers. It involves our partners like 9R School District, Manna Soup Kitchen, and the City of Durango, and of course our business sponsors and grantors who provide the labor and materials and cash donations to make all of these programs possible.